Game-changing. Survivor leadership development with the Indian Leadership Forum Against Trafficking, or ILFAT. In India alone, over 4 million children and youth have been trafficked for sexual exploitation and forced labour. Only 0.7% of these cases ever gets reported. Among those who were arrested, the conviction rate has remained as 1.4%. The government of India, UN agencies and NGOs have spent billions of dollars to combat human trafficking, but it's still increased by 2.6 times over the last decade. Arba was one of these cases. Her neighbour trafficked her from her village in Bengal and sold her into a brothel in Pune. In Bihar, 13-year-old Suruj was trafficked to Rajasthan and forced to work in a glass bangle factory. Zeenat, only 19, was trafficked to Chennai and forced to work in a brick kiln as a debt bondage labourer. For years, they were held captive. Once they were rescued by police and NGOs, all three were left to fend against stigma, poor health and poverty. Sent back home, they did not know who to seek help from or where to go. Neither governments, state or national, have a clear policy on rehabilitation, and survivors like Arba, Suruj and Zeenat do not have the money to hire quality lawyers to seek justice from the legal system. Police, social workers, politicians and bureaucrats look at them as victims and make decisions on their behalf. No one bothered to ask them what they needed for rehabilitation, informed them of what they're entitled to by law, or instructed them what they could do to hold the system accountable. This lack of protection and support means that they are unable to fight against traffickers, resulting in their impunity. Often, they will remain at communities with victims at large, threatening to keep their victims from pressing charges or testifying against them. However, it doesn't need to be this way. When Arba, Suruj and Zeenat were brought together with other survivors in their districts, they formed collectives to identify the problems they face in their communities. Social workers help them to claim services and compensation. When this fails, it can be escalated to authorities, the media, and the judiciary. This in turn grips public attention and builds political and social power for survivors. They then partner with the police to rescue victims, punish traffickers, and seek services for vulnerable children at risk of becoming victims of trafficking. The critical difference between this process and others is that Arba, Suruj and Zeenat are not treated as victims. They are supported and trained to become leaders in mobilizing themselves, organizing themselves, analyzing problems, making action choices, implementing actions, and asserting their rights with the system. Purely from a resource perspective, it makes sense. The cost of supporting one victim under institutional care at a shelter home is 4 times more than the support to one survivor empowered and fighting for their access to rehabilitation rights. While financial support to victims at shelter homes does not necessarily catalyse systemic change to end this crime of human trafficking, access to rehabilitation with their empowerment enables survivors to restore their life, grow their leadership, and engage with systems to address the systemic root cause of human trafficking crime. Today, survivors across India have come together and formed the Indian Leadership Forum Against Trafficking, or ILFAT, which engages directly with policy and media, monitors policy and law implementation, as well as proposes solutions to governments on strategies to combat trafficking. ILFAT is currently supported by non-profit organisations and philanthropists. Its success depends on the support of individuals and organisations who value the leadership of survivors and their ability to make a lasting change. It is a programme that has recently been upscaled to 8 of India's most affected states. If you would like to get involved or help out survivors such as Arba, Saruj and Zinat, please contact us today at info@ilfat.org.